I would I have the honor of acknowledging all our guests. We would start with the Minister of Public Utilities, the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez. A round of applause, please. Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with the responsibility for communications, the Honorable Simon de Nobrega. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Utilities, Ms. Nicolette Duke. Right. The Acting Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ms. Arlene Collis. Advisor to the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Anthony Bartholomew. Mr. Kelvin Romain, Acting CEO, WASA, the Water and Sewage Authority. The Manager of Customer Service, Ms. Mauricia Pegas. The staff of the Ministry of Public Utilities present with us. Beneficiaries of the Ministry's various assistance programs, we specially thank you for accepting our invitation to be here this morning. Specially invited guests, of course our esteemed members of the media, you ladies and gentlemen, me, Rachel Price. Thank you. To you all, a good morning. I will now invite the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Utilities to bring her welcome remarks. A round of applause, please.
The Honorable Marvin Gonzalez, Minister of Public Utilities, the Honorable Simon de Nobrega, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for communications, Mr. Kelvin Romain, Acting CEO, WASA, my Acting Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ms. Arlene Collis, staff of the Ministry of Public Utilities, specially invited guests or distinguished beneficiaries, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning. My name is Nicolette Duke, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this morning's ceremony, which is a special occasion for many of you because today you receive your approval letters for those services that are offered under the ministry's Utilities Assistance Program and Social Assistance Programs. I am sure and I am confident that the services you will receive will go a long way to improving the quality of life that you enjoy, and also that it will bring good rewards for you as you journey onward. Let me offer my thanks and special commendation to all the hardworking staff at the Sectoral Programs and Projects Unit, as well as the Customer Services Unit under Ms. Pegas, who have worked hard not only to put today's ceremony together, but also to review your applications, assess them, go out to site visits and meet you, and hear of your situation and respond in the way we as a ministry know to respond. I also want to offer my thanks to the members of the Technical Advisory Committee that would have considered these applications, resulting today in your benefit. So once again, welcome to the ministry, congratulations, and do enjoy this morning's activities. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Permanent Secretary. I believe there was a small oversight. I need to mention the commercial manager for Tea and Tech, representing Tea and Tech, Mr. Rodney Lachman. Good morning, sir. Right. I would now call upon Mr. Eric Jones, the project manager, sectoral programs and projects units, to do an overview of the ministry's social sector assistance programs. Mr. Eric Jones.
Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, Honorable Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister with Responsibility for Communications, Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Utilities, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities, colleagues of the MPU, invited guests, good morning. My role this morning is just to give you an overview of the ministry's social sector programs. And basically, we have these are divided mainly into three components. The first is what we call the REAP, or the Residential Electrification Assistance Program, the Electrification Program, or the commonly called the EP, and the Utilities Assistance Program, which is acronymed the UAP. All of these programs are offered by us, and forms for these particular programs are available at most of the MP's offices, at our head office here based at the Ministry of Public Utilities, online, and at various TT Connect facilities. I would now look and give an overview of the electrification program. The electrification program provides assistance for the installation of electrical infrastructure, namely poles, overhead lines, transformers, and other related items for persons or applicants who are outside of the T&T's distribution grid. The process is that most of these individuals would apply to the ministry via the EP forms, and the works are executed by T&Tech, who does the installation of the related infrastructure. This help is important because electrical infrastructure, poles and overhead, could be very costly. Most of the times, these items run in the vicinity of $50,000 to even $300,000. So it is very difficult for an individual to be able to extend these funds and to be able to receive the benefit. So we at the Ministry of Public Utilities are here to assist communities and individuals in the provision of these items so that they could have access to a safe and reliable supply of electricity. I myself could recall that I had purchased a property somewhere in Lupino, and I had to just get about 2 or 3 pole extensions, but that was about 10, 15 years ago. And I had to fork out over $20,000 from my pocket. Luckily, if the EP was installed then, I would have been able to benefit from this program. So I'm telling you, it's a very good program. It's targeted for low-income individuals and persons and the vulnerable in the society, and it's something that we are proud of at the Ministry of Public Utilities. The second program that I want to speak to is the Residential Electrification Assistance Program. This program provides house wiring services to low-income individuals, and it is more or less executed in 2 phases. We do first-time wiring for new installations or new buildings, and we also target properties where the wiring is faulty and could pose a risk of electrical fires. The works are supervised, or the works are executed, by community-based contractors. So it's a form of generation of income for the communities. And it is the electrical works are inspected by the electrical inspectorate division. So our electrical inspectors assigned to the government electrical inspectorate do all the inspections. And the connection of the rewired properties are done by the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission. We are proud to say that this is a program that provides assistance to a number of persons, both in Trinidad and Tobago. And as evidence this morning, where we see some of you all are here to accept your approval letters for applications that you have made to this particular program. The third program that I want to speak to is what we call the Utilities Assistance Program. And under that program, which basically has three components, we have the bill assistance, whereby a subsidy is applied to the WASA and T&TEC bills in the amount of $200 per annum for the WASA and $1,200 per annum for the T&TEC billing. We also have the solar panel assistance. The solar panel assistance is where we install solar power infrastructure to communities that are outside of T&TEC's distribution system or grid and areas that cannot be served by T&TEC. And we do both the wiring, we at the ministry provide the solar panel infrastructure and also the wiring of the buildings to receive the supply from the solar panels. This facility is available to individuals, and it could also be extended to communities. We also have under the UAP the water tank assistance programs, whereby we supply water tanks in various capacities from 600 gallons to 800 gallons to persons who have an inadequate water supply or inadequate storage. As I had indicated before, all of these forms of these programs are available at the MPU's office here at 1 Alexandra, at the MPU's website, at various MP's offices, TT Connect, and so forth. For more information on the programs, you could go to the ministry's website, mpu.gov.tt, where you'll find an extensive array of information regarding these programs. We at the ministry is very pleased to be of service to you, the members of the community, in the rollout of these programs, and we give you the assurance that we will do our utmost in this fiscal and the ones coming up to ensure that you have adequate and reliable services through the delivery of these social sector programs. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eric Jones. Now I want to be very careful with people, equipment in front of me. This is, whose one is this? It's going to fall. These days you can't pay for people things. Taking care of them lawsuit quick. All right, thank you once again, Mr. Eric Jones, the Project Manager, Sectoral Programs and Projects Units. And now I'd like to call upon Mr. Terence Siraj, the beneficiary of the electrification program, to give a testimonial on how the program has impacted his life.
Hello. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Good day to each and every one of you all, ministers, press, guests. I am here today, firstly, to say thank you to the Ministry of Public Utilities for having me here. I do appreciate it. Furthermore, let me say public utilities has made a great impact on my life. I was unable to receive electricity where I built my house. And as of last year, January, I reached out to them. By March, public utilities reached back out towards me, which is very rapid in my book. Through Mr. Julian Suraj, he made my big problems look very small. Whereas he say, in layman terms, we should say, nah, boy, you are nothing to worry about. Due to certain COVID protocols mid last year, I was fortunate enough to move in my home with electricity by September. And again, this is one of the best programs I feel it have. In that short space of time to have that comfort for my family, it was really, really an honor. And again, to each and everyone, thanks, Public Utilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Terence Siraj. I now call upon Ms. Carolee McLean. She is the beneficiary on the Residential Electrification Assistance Program, commonly known by the acronym REAP, to give a testimonial on how the program has impacted her life.
Good morning, everybody. It's just a short note to say thank you to all the distinguished guests. My name is Carolee McLean, and I was asked to say a few words today about how this program has impacted my life. For many years, I have been trying to build something for me and my family, but sadly, due to circumstances beyond my control, I encountered financial difficulties. I thought the dream of having my own and giving my family the comfort that we were supposed to have when I retired from my job, it did not take place. But one day, my sister told me about the REAP program, and I came and asked for the assistance, which I immediately got an answer to within 2 or 3 months, and I was very thankful. And since then, I have been asking God to put everything in place for me, and Miss Joseph and Miss Celine, they came forward for me, and I am very, very thankful for them to say I can't say anything bad. And I suggested that I apply. My application was accepted, and I could not be more happy. I cried tears of joy. I'm still crying. Even when I thought all hope was lost due to the pandemic, the ministry still came through with their promise. I must say thanks to all and everybody here, the recipients, myself, and the ministers, thank you very, very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Is it Miss McLean? Miss McLean? Thank you very much. There's an old people saying, ingratitude worse than witchcraft. I don't know if you ever hear that. And my grandmother taught me a few lessons years ago, very, very long time. I grew up with old people, or elderly people. The only thing old is furniture. And these days they're calling it vintage. So right now I vintage, because I celebrated my birthday last week and took a good long look at myself, because plenty of people just feel, Rachel, how are you looking so nice? And I say the mama guy, because this is 2 hours of makeup and a wig. But I live believing in one fundamental law, the law of giving thanks. A lot of people complaining about the pandemic, and I am one, I'm an entertainer. I ain't for a show in 3 years. I am still here standing before you looking glorious. We give thanks. And I'm listening to Mr. Torrance, Siraj and Miss McLean, you put tears in their eye. Simply for giving thanks. Thanks for this moment. Thanks to be able to see my friend John Victor, who I haven't seen in more than 20 years. A round of applause for John Victor, who has been in the business of entertainment. How many Dimash Gra, how many Queen shows, John Victor? The backbone of so many mass bands, John Victor. So, that each and every one of us are here at this moment, celebrating in this moment. I give thanks. Thank you. I will now call upon the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities. Which one would? Oh, the Honorable Minister of Communications. Simon Dido-Brigger, the Honorable Simon Dido-Brigger.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for the stellar job that you are doing today. Let me first, of course, acknowledge my colleague in the Parliament and in the Cabinet, Minister Marvin Gonzalez, Minister of Public Utilities, PS, Management, and the officers of the Ministry of Public Utilities. Among them, my old colleague in local government, Stomping Grounds, Abdon Mason. Abdon, we spent so many years together in local government, you in Point Fortin, and of course me in Diego Martin. I didn't know you could have prayed like that, brother. Yeah. Let me acknowledge, of course, Mr. Lachman, the commercial manager of TNTech, the man in the hot seat at WASA, the acting CEO, Mr. Rumain, of course, the invited guests, and the members of media who are present, and most importantly, the recipients and the beneficiaries of today's proceedings. So why am I here? If not only to give everybody who comes up here a mouthful to have to say the minister in the office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for communications, but I am here really, I suspect, because Minister Gonzalez is attempting to shut me up. He and I have had too many conversations, and these conversations, I think, started at our very first meeting in the Diplomatic Center, where the Honorable Prime Minister spoke to us as members, brand new members of his cabinet, and basically directed us that we must always show the way that our ministry is impacting the citizen in their daily lives. And too often, events like this and activities like this across ministries go unnoticed. I want to speak, Ms. McLean. I came from local government, and I always think that transition from local government to representation at central government level and as a minister bodes well, because at local government you interact on a daily basis with your residents, with your burgesses. And today you reminded me why I love representational politics, where we see the impact, the little things that impact the citizen in their daily lives, positively impact you, and your emotional recollection of the process is something that I want to thank you for. I want to join with the Master of Ceremonies today in thanking you for that. I want to congratulate the Minister for joining with, of course, the activities coming out of, everyone knows what comes out of the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, but also the work that is coming out of the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, also coming out of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, where we are every single day impacting citizens in their daily lives. Minister, I know that part of the reason that you have me here is because you wanted to make sure that TTT came. So in making sure I was here, TTT had to be here. But I want to tell you, whether I'm here or not, all the arms of communications that are available to you through my ministry are at your beck and call. We must continue to speak about how we are positively impacting citizens in their daily lives. The minister shared with me as I was coming up some of the numbers, and it is astounding to me that in the last 5 years, each individual intervention may only be a couple $1,000, but those $1,000 are so much more than the actual value of the money. And I remember talking about that, Marvin, when we were in Powder Magazine Phase 1, with your lighting program at Powder Magazine Phase 1, the value of the expenditure on behalf of the ministry is so much more than just the tangible value of that money. But it is important that when we look at our utilities assistance program and we talk about in the last 5 years, the ministry has touched 68,000 people in this country. And that is 68,000 families. So the expenditure of that $19 million is so much more than that. I never like to think about the value of the money, but the value of the money is important. It is the value of the impact. 68,000 people, your electrification program touching 2,000 people and 2,000 families over the last 5 years. And of course, the REAP program, I can't remember the, well, I know it's REAP, but I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Impacting 1,000 families across this country. So I am here in my capacity as the Minister responsibility for communications. Communications is a two-way street, so it is important that the residents, the constituents and the citizens of this country avail themselves, speak to your representatives, make sure that they understand what your needs are at the council level, at the MP level, explain to them what your needs are so that we can do this. We can get to this stage where you are benefiting from the efforts of the state to assist you and to impact your lives positively. But of course, I am also here, being the Minister of Communications, I know how tired the citizenry of this country is in hearing politicians talk. So I would encourage all of the recipients, all the beneficiaries today, to join with Ms. McLean and to join with Mr. Siraj in speaking to the media here about the way today's event will be positively impacting you so that citizens can see. It is my request of you, and I hope that you will meet that request. In closing, Minister, you know that the only reward for good work is more work. So, of course, while I'm here in my capacity as a minister, I'm also here in my capacity as an MP. And I will let you know that in the coming weeks, I will be advancing the desires of my own constituents so that we can have one of these here again, and I will look out to see constituents of Diego Martin Central. Minister, I want to congratulate you. I want to congratulate you and the members of your team. Well done, Ministry of Public Utilities. I look forward to seeing many more of these and being invited back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. The Honorable Minister for Communications, Simon de Nobrega. Right. Who is now the MP for Diego Martin? Central? You know, I grew up Diego Martin West. You know, when people say Rachel and Noya, you just have to understand and try to smile. How you know, man? What you know? Why you here? I want to add just a little bit to what Minister de Nobrega says. We live in the era of social media. And I know too well how quickly wrong information, lies, misinformation, fabrication, unpleasantness and negativity spreads faster than anything positive. This is a really positive initiative, venture that is happening. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. For those of you that do not know, I take my name and integrity very, very seriously. And somehow or the other, when you ask people about, and I'm going to ask people about their knowledge of these programs and the beneficiaries and the people that have benefited from it, if they know, all these very vociferous people on social media have no inkling, my friends, as to what is really going on in our country. They are there for the views and the likes. And I went to Massey yesterday, and right after that I went to Pennywise. And I had a lot of views and likes, and I couldn't use any of them at the cashier. You must ask them, cashing your views and likes, how much money are you getting for that? So, on that note, let's be positive and just spread the word of what is really positively being done for our country. For our country. I would like to call upon the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, Marvin Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Rachel. So let me first do the formalities and recognize my parliamentary and cabinet colleague, the Honorable Simon de Nobrega, Minister of Communications and the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin West. I was waiting to see if you were paying attention. And that is not a simple mistake to make, so I will not make that mistake. So of course it is the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Central. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Public Utilities, Ms. Nicola Duke, the Acting Deputy Secretary, Permanent Secretary, Ms. Arlene Collis, the Advisor to the Minister of Public Utilities, Mr. Anthony Bartholomew, Mr. Kelvin Romain, the Acting CEO of WASA, Mr. Rodney Lachman, the commercial manager of TNTech. Thank you very much for coming. The staff of the Ministry of Public Utilities, and specifically, I would like to recognize the staff of the SPPU unit where you are located. So can you please stand and let's recognize the staff who would have played a fundamental role in processing these applications. And I want to thank them and I want to recognize them for their hard work. Thank you very much. The beneficiaries of the various assistance program under the Ministry of Public Utilities, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So let me first start. I normally would come with a prepared speech, and on most of the occasions, I will venture away from my prepared remarks, depending on the mood of the occasion. So let me first start by quoting two famous persons. The first one is by Jacob Lew, who is the former United States Secretary of the Treasury between the years 2013 and 2017. And this is what Mr. Jacob Lew said about public service in the United States, which in my view is quite applicable to us here in Trinidad and Tobago. I think, and I quote here, I think there's no higher calling in terms of a career than public service, which is a chance to make a difference in people's lives and improve the world, end quote. And secondly, former United States President Barack Obama, this is what he had to say about public service. When we look out for one another and we take care of each other, when we root for one another's success, when we strive to do better and to be better than the generation that came before us and try to build something better for generations to come, that's why we do what we do. That's the whole point of public service. Barack Obama, end quote. And I decided to use those two quotes because this event, yes, is recognizing beneficiaries of the ministry's social programs. Because so often, whenever the Ministry of Public Utilities is highlighted in the media, it's always about some kind of negativity in the context of WASA or in the context of TNTech. If it is not blackout, it is perhaps WASA not repairing its leaks or responding to its customers' needs, or the restructuring of WASA that may impact some people negatively or something of that nature. But the Ministry of Public Utilities is much more than WASA and TNTech. The ministry does have, as you would have recognized, especially those beneficiaries here, a social sector program that impacts positively the lives of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, ensuring that some of our communities and some of our citizens who live in communities that are unserved or underserved in the context of the utility sector, that we reach out and we touch their lives in terms of water and in terms of electricity or waste management, etc. And I think it is important, this morning is important, because the public servants who are behind this program, I wanted you to see firsthand the impact of what you do in your offices and in your cubicles and on your desk, the impact it does have on simple lives. Very, very impactful, and therefore, a file is not a file. A file does not only constitute paper and minutes and folios. A file is a life. A file is a home. A file is a community. And if you decide to put it aside and ignore it for whatever reason, You're impacting a life. You're impacting a community. You're impacting a family. And that is what I would want you as members of the public service of Trinidad and Tobago to recognize coming out of this event. Because you would have heard from Terence Siraj. And you would have heard from Carolee McLean. Very emotional testimony as to how this program impacted her life and the life of her family. Because she could not have provided that basic service for her family and for herself. And for us as members of parliament and members of the cabinet. And every time I get up in the morning and I decide to harass the CEO of WASA or the CEO of Tech, it is because I recognize that whenever someone decides to reach out to you as a minister, it is because they are running out of hope. And I have to harass the CEO of WASA or the GM of Tech because I know if I ignore them, I would not be discharging my public service and my public duty. I am also a public servant. As a matter of fact, we as elected members of parliament and members of cabinet, we are all in the service of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And oftentimes it feels as though the road is very difficult and you're pushing molasses up a hill because the people that work with you may not be on the same level and pushing with the same level of passion because perhaps they may not be as close to lives like Terence and Caroline to understand what it means. Minister de Norberga would have put a profound pitch for his constituency of Diego Martin Central. But I put aside my hat as Minister of Public Utilities. I am also the Member of Parliament for Lupino Borneo West. Who do I put my pitch to? Certainly I can't put my pitch to Minister de Norberga, but I will put my pitch to the Permanent Secretary for the constituency of Lupino Borneo West. But we are all doing this thing together. And as Rachel would have said, we are living in an era where bad news travel with lightning speed. You would have heard that the blackout would have taken place in 3.6 seconds. This is what the report said. An incident where a tree fell on a powerful 12 kilovolt line, which came into contact with a main transmission 220 kilovolt line, and in 3.6 seconds, the whole of Trinidad and Tobago was disconnected. In 3.6 seconds, news and bad news flies across this country and torment the psyche of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago in ways where we believe with all these programs existing and all the assistance that people get, despite in the midst of a pandemic, that the Ministry of Public Utilities over the last 5 years, and despite a pandemic, can spend $37.8 million to serve the underserved and those that are not served in providing water and providing electricity and other utility assistance. And one thing that was not mentioned here today, that we have a rebate program costing the ministry perhaps PS $40 million, 220,000 citizens benefiting from a rebate program. It was increased to 35%. This year it is going to cost us about $60 million annually. And that was not stopped in the midst of a pandemic. But yet still people walk around asking, what is the government doing for us? What is the state doing for us? And the reason why they can ask those questions, it is because perhaps we are not doing enough to communicate the good work that we are doing. And too often, the good things that are happening in this country is oftentimes buried in silence. This country is not a perfect country, and there isn't a perfect country in the universe. If you look at the United States today, you would hear in their massive $1 trillion infrastructure program, one of the key things that they're trying to do is to get water, electricity, and telecommunication services to rural communities, the great United States of America. $1 trillion infrastructure program, and they're asking for telecommunication services, electricity services, water services to be extended to rural communities. And we must believe, not because we have some challenges, that this country is not a place to live. We have everything to be grateful and to be thankful to God for. And this morning, on your behalf, and on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, and on behalf of the staff of the SPPU, and all public servants of good interest and righteousness, I want to thank God that we can touch the lives positively of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And your presence here today reminds us that every time we walk through the doors of our offices and we sit at our desk, it is all about serving the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And the minute we are no longer in the service of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, then we are of no use to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we might as well pack our bags and go home and allow someone else to come and do the work. And this is what we are here for. And we do not propose to solve every single problem in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't propose to solve every single water problem in Trinidad and Tobago, electricity problem, because I can tell you it is very difficult. But what I can assure you is that every single day is going to be spent to improve the lives of the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the utility sector. And whilst we may not be able to solve every single problem, I can give you the assurance that we will solve a significant portion of the problem, and we will be far better than where we are today and where we would have been 5, 10, or 15 years ago. With the help and with the support of the people of WASA, the people of TNTech and TT Post, and all the public servants in the Ministry of Public Utilities. I thank you very much for your service. I thank you very much for your support. Don't be distracted by the negative news, because there are people who are bent on protecting the status quo. We are not going to be distracted by them. We will keep our focus, because the people are depending on us to improve their living circumstances. So I thank you very much. Thank you, PS. Thank you to my ministerial colleague. Thank you, members of the media, and may God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you very, very much. We just had the Honorable Minister for Public Utilities, Mr. Marvin Gonzalez. I keep stuttering or stammering after I say honorable, because it's always the honorable doctor, you know, as dealing that dynamic. I just want to point out something. Every year around this time for the last 10, 12 years, withstanding the, let's omit the period for the pandemic, which would have started in 2019, 2020, yes. Every year I've been dealing with one particular man in particular around this time. So pandemic hit us, no borrow. Then they say borrow. Then I say point, because the Monday, if you don't know, the Monday after borrow is Rachel Price show. Folly. Point 14 is a part of Trinidad and Tobago, but it is not Trinidad and Tobago. 3 parts of Trinidad and Tobago that are not Trinidad and Tobago is Point 14, Toco, and Tobago. Those are all separate places, countries, but they are part of Trinidad and Tobago, if you understand what I mean. Point is point. And I am dealing with Abdon Mason for the last 12 years. Not dealing like that, Abdon. I mean, you fit the category. But, and this year, when they say borrow, we're ready. And then I call in the office and they tell me Abdon not there anymore. He buy public utilities. I say, well, where I go find Abdon? Ups come Abdon Mason this morning. So you see, when you're supposed to see somebody at a particular time, they're there. Abdon, wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see you, and we will deal with point. We have to go up there. Right. Eh? Why people is always say down point? It's up point. It's up or down. I just say I going up San Fernando. It have a whole calypso going up San Fernando. She said down. I didn't hear that again. Because to me, when you go south, everything up. You'll catch it tomorrow. You see, that's what she means. I'd like to call upon the acting CEO for WASA, Kelvin Romain. I got it right? Yes, this is to give out the letters for the beneficiaries of the water tank assistance program. So a round of applause, please, for the man of the moment. Representing the St. Joseph Police Youth Club, WPC, Sasha Williams Goddard. Ayana Wilson. Valine Carmichael. Campbell. Which one it is? Let's see how we have it. Bawani Prasad. Thank you, sir. Yusuf Mohammed. Brendan John. Malika Cummings. Thank you. Eric Williams. A name like that, you must get through. My parents should have named me Oprah. Jillian Williams. I'll accept it on her behalf. Thank you very much, sir. Acting CEO Kelvin Romain. I'd like to call upon Rodney Lachman. From Tech, Head of Commercial. Commercial Manager. Shireen, and this is for the beneficiaries of the electricity. Father, the electrification, you say it. You have me nervous, I wonder why. The electrification program. Shireen Campbell Ramlal. Okay. That's one for me again. We need to talk. Lisa Silal. Lisa Silal. Terence Siraj. Amanda Valdez Liba. Bibi Rambihari. Thank you very much, sir. I will now call and ask the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Nicolette Duke, to present to Kenny Ramdam, thank you, sir, and Miss Mabel Langlaise. Yes, Mama. Thank you very much, Madam PS. I will now ask Minister Gonzalez. No? Minister de Nobrega. Yes, we are to give, man. Yes, sir. Miss Jacqueline Pear. Thank you very much, sir. And now I will call upon... No, that was for him. I in esteemed company this morning, I'm blushing. I tell you, two of the best dressed ministers in the cabinet, you know. I stand up there, good. Hold on. Thank you. You see, I had a dream, like how Mia Motley and Rihanna, next minute I take off in comedy and he's the prime minister, and you know things could happen. We could dream. And I start a multi-billionaire, you know, makeup business. We know. Anybody had any dreams of this pandemic? You ain't know what happening tomorrow. By Friday I could be slim. Bringing up the rear, and this is our last. I tell you, you never know what could happen. Bringing up the rear, and this is the last of our beneficiaries, but not least, Elma Clark. That's it? That's it?
Finish it.
You finished?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe we have come to the end of the formal part of our program. Yet again, I would thank the Honorable Minister of Communications, Simon de Nobrega, the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, Marvin Gonzalez, our Permanent Secretary, Ms. Nicolette Duke, Mr. Kelvin. Just tell me. Mr. Romain, I humbly apologize. Everybody name on paper. Who is Mr. Romain? So who are you? It's not that I'm not good at my job. I just ain't have your names here. So Mr. Romain, you are the guy, the gentleman from Wassa, in the trouble. No trouble. He not in any trouble. He not in no trouble. He good. You are the guy from TNTech, the gentleman from TNTech. You not in any trouble at all. Neither is TNTech. Well, we have that clear. And you are the wonderful Permanent Secretary, Ms. Nicolette Duke. I have no back of that. Nothing. We will now invite you to have some light refreshments with us as we are accompanied also to the members of the media. Oh, we have a vote of thanks. Oh, I didn't see that. We have a vote of thanks. So I will invite my friend, Mr. Abdon Mason, the project administrator of the Sectoral Programs and Projects Unit, to prefer the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Madam Masters of Ceremony. You know, my mother once said to me that whenever you get an opportunity to say thanks, you must do so sincerely and do so completely. So in my effort to say thanks this morning, let me apologize ahead of time. If you think that your name was supposed to be called and you were supposed to be thanked for something and you didn't mention it, it's not because I'm slighting you. I may have forgotten. But so thank you in general. But I must thank Almighty God for this opportunity. Today is truly a day that the Lord has made, and we should be glad and rejoice in it. And we thank God for this opportunity just to fellowship with our fellow citizens, to see how important what we do really is to you. And the mere fact that you responded to our invitation makes us feel that what we do is important, not just to us, but to you. So I want to thank God for that. I think we are very privileged at this ministry, very, very privileged. I want to thank the minister for his leadership, his direction, for his vigilance. Because some ministers, and I'm not speaking about any present ministry or minister, but there may be times when persons occupy positions and the real purpose in it is the part where they occupy it. But then there are those who are the driving force behind everything that you do. And we are privileged here to have a minister that is a director, a leader, and a driving force in everything that we do. And through you, Mr. Minister, I would want to extend our thanks to Mr. Bartholomew for all the assistance He's truly a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we are truly beneficiaries of that wealth of knowledge and experience. So we are thankful to him too. I want to thank a block of persons because I'm maybe one of the newer persons at the ministry, having been somewhere else before. But sometimes when you're on a pathway to a location and you find yourself either lost or confused, it is always good to find people who can render assistance. And for me, that came in the form of Permanent Secretary Nicolette Duke. Nicolette Duke, and I want to say this without any mama guy because I am from Point 14 where sincerity goes with everything that we do. If the government of Trinidad and Tobago is really looking for a star in the public service, come to the Ministry of Public Utilities and look for Nicolette Duke. I have personally benefited from her leadership, her direction, her scolding, but it made me a better person and have made me more capacity-filled and purpose-driven in the job that I complete on a daily basis. If I tell you something, I'm not doing it for accolades, but my clock alarms at 3 a.m. I'm on a bus by 4 a.m., and I'm here at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Or you feel alive? Check it out. And that is because you wouldn't do that if you're not motivated to do it. Because of the leadership we have here, I am motivated to do everything to make this program and this ministry a successful venture. Thank you, Nicolette Duke, Permanent Secretary. But she doesn't come alone. When I didn't know what to do, I went to Miss Mauricia Pigas. Thank you. And when I can't go to Miss Pigas, I go to Miss Arlene Collis. She's the full representation of humility. But thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. John Victor and your team. Minister, don't give John responsibility when he's on vacation. Because when he comes back, he keeps the most meetings, and his mission is to ensure that there's perfection in whatever he produces. And that's a good thing. I want to thank Mr. Victor and his team. The event you're experiencing here today is the full commitment of John Victor, Leif Matura, and all those guys from that department. I want to thank the SPPU unit. You guys have made working here a fulfillment, an enjoyment, a satisfaction. Mr. Eric Jones, he's the calmest man under fire. The calmest individual. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Afisha Celine, Letitia Anderson, Tanisha, Nathan, Gary, I don't want to miss out nobody, Shane, Julian Siraj. I always say in the SPPU, Mr. Jones and I are the oldest people because everybody else would be referred to as Gary, Letitia, Celine, Nathan, and then they say Mr. Jones and Mr. Mason. we apparently we old, but I want to thank you guys. I need to let you all know the satisfaction we feel, the successes that we gain are because of the commitment of you all. I want to thank you all so much. Thank you. Mr. Romain, there are two things I've always said to myself that I don't want. I don't want. I don't want. I don't want to ever become a minister of agriculture. because I will be out of the way, and I don't ever want to be no big boy in Wassa. But to you, God be the glory. I wish you the best. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Mr. Lachman, I might quicker come in that direction. But I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking time off of your busy schedules and adding our experience here today to your day. Thank you so much for making us important. I hope anybody from SPPU, and all they didn't hear me say Loyal and Micah and everything, tell them I say the name, eh? Because I meant to call everybody's name. I want to thank the panelists, our member who gave us the safety briefing, and our masters of ceremony. Thank you, Panman. The interludes were well appreciated. It shows that you have a developing talent that you can market. Entertainment will be fulfilling to the rest of the world once you participate in it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shazara Mohammed. There's hardly anything that I embrace as a laughing matter in Trinidad and Tobago. I think Trinidad and Tobago, as I was telling somebody earlier, we laugh too much about serious things. But to me, most of those persons are jokers. I think, and that's only me, not marketing anybody, there are only two real comedians in Trinidad and Tobago. One of them is Damian Melville. He's from Point Fortin. The other one, without any mama guy and papi show, is Rachel Price. And she knows that I have been a fan for years, and I am still apologizing for 2019 because on the night she kept her show in Point Fortin, I kept an event in my electoral district. So I had to be at that event, and she was at her event, and everybody knows what happened after that. I'm not in that office anymore. So, but Rachel, your presence here today is a manifestation of your skill, your capacity, your ability, and your loveliness. Thank you so much for joining us and blessing us with your talent, your gift that God gave to you, and your presence. You'll continue to be beautiful, and I know the sky will always be the limit with you. Thank you so much. Now I must thank you, the beneficiaries. I'm a very emotional person. But the most satisfying thing about me, about life, is when people say thanks. And let me tell you all something. I am not an office sit-down manager. Many of you saw me out in the field because I came with my guys to conduct the site visits. And I empathize with every person I interact with. Sometimes I hear people speak of me, either good or bad, and I'm amazed because I don't really pay attention to me. I'm not serious about me. I'm serious about what I do. But to me, my fulfillment is in seeing you happy, satisfied, and that you have received what you expected from us. Thank you for having that faith in us, for trusting in us, depending on us, and leading us to the end where we can deliver to you what you require of us. We want to encourage you to continue reaching out to us where you think we can assist, where you think people in your community can benefit from what we do, because our intentions are to serve you and to serve you to the best of our ability. We want to thank you, wish you all the best for the rest of the day and the time ahead. God's richest blessings to you. Nicolette Duke, we are with you, and we will become the stars that we want to be under your leadership. God's blessings to you. Trying to hide, because if I kept that up,
Thank you. And without further ado, we will now have our light refreshments. Thank you very much to members of the media, TTT, And who else is here?
CL Communications.
CL Communications and Newsday. If there are any persons wishing to get some more information, those lovely ladies over there are, not that gentleman, your gentleman, I'm sorry, the lady, they said with the ladies.
The
SPP will be answering all your questions. Last but not least, a round of applause for Mr. Rodney Lutchman. I get it right. Manager of Customer Care at T&Tech. Right. Above them up. The commercial manager. So I still had it wrong. And once again, a round of applause, please, for Mr. Rodney Lutchman, the commercial manager at T&Tech. We do it until we get it right. Right.